file number 1, which is file number 262, ACA 8. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Constitutional Amendment 8 by Assemblymember Rivas, enact relating to redistricting.
Senator Pro Tem McGuire, you are recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Good afternoon, members. I stand with Senator Cabaldon, who will complete the presentation on Constitutional Amendment 8. I gotta say, it does pain me a bit to say what I'm about to say, and I wanna also take a moment to acknowledge Brian Jones. I have deep respect for Leader Jones, and I know this has been a tough week on all sides, and I do want to acknowledge him and say thank you for the partnership. And I also want to say I take this very seriously. I think that all folks know, don't really care if you have an R or a D behind your name. It's about representing California. And as I said last night, people don't know us if we're a Republican or a Democrat. They know us as Californians. And that's what we need to remember as we make our way through this and come back next week. I'm really honored to represent one of the most rural districts in the state of California, a third of the California coastline. There are 4 counties in the district of 7 that voted for Kamala Harris. There are 3 counties in the district that supported President Trump. And what I know when I go into Weaverville or High Palm, Crescent City or Fort Bragg, in rural California, no matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, you want a few key things for your family. You want quality health care. You want to keep your hospital open, that rural health center open for your kids and your grandparents. You want a good job so that you can stay in the community that you love. You want to send your kid to a good public school. You want to be able to live in that community you love and afford a home. And in rural California, you don't want to use dial-up internet anymore. You want to have access to high-speed broadband. You know, there isn't a single one of us, not one, who wouldn't be here today if we hadn't put our faith in the voters of California. Put our faith in fellow Californians to walk into the voting booth or sit at their kitchen table and do their best for all of us to do the right thing. And that's really what this is all about today. All we're asking is allow the voters to do their thing, to pass this constitutional amendment. We need to put our faith in the voters to do the right thing. The way we have countless times over the decades, initiative after initiative, it's ultimately up to the voters. There's nothing more transparent than that. Now, we're here today for one reason: the nefarious actions of the Republican leadership in Texas. California didn't pick this fight. This was not on our bingo card 6 weeks ago, let alone 6 months ago. Actions of Republicans in Texas, compounded by the inaction of some Republican leaders here in California, that's why we're here today. All of this could have been avoided. To be able to stop this, talk to Texas. Talk to our president. I have been astounded this week. I've seen Republican colleague after Republican colleague go on television, hold press conferences, go live on the social media, expressing outrage about California. But what about Texas? What about Donald Trump, who started all of this, who started this circus? You know, sometimes in life, I'm a firm believer that you just got to stand for the greater good, and you got to tell your boss no. Got to tell your boss no. Today, I hope that we can do something constructive. We should do everything in our power to ensure free and fair elections. But let me be very clear. This action about redistricting, we all know this. We talk behind the scenes. We have a beer together. We go out to coffee. When I talk to folks who are on the other side of the aisle, they know why we're here. Can't say it publicly, but we all know why we're here. And we also know that this is just the beginning. Mail-in ballots, it's now the predominant way folks vote in the United States, mail-in ballots. Our president wants to end mail-in ballots. Make it harder to vote. You know why he wants to be able to upend the census here? To rig it. In the United States Constitution, it says count all persons. The reason why Donald Trump doesn't want to count all persons is because it hurts Republicans. So then I hear members of Congress, some in the legislature say, I support independent redistricting. So I got 3 pages of votes on independent redistricting bills that have come through this legislature over the past several years. 3 pages right here. And let me just tell you what the predominant theme is. Republicans voted no. They voted no. All public votes. Now, why is it? Why? All of a sudden, y'all have seen the light? I would hope that we could do more than file frivolous lawsuits, which, by the way, within 48 hours, the Supreme Court just tossed out. I would hope that we could do more than just file bunk court action when there are Republican leaders in this country that are having state troopers follow Democratic legislators. When the Attorney General of Texas and the governor say, we need the FBI to track elected members of a state house. What the hell is happening? And where is the outrage? You're outraged that California is responding? The only reason we are here today is because of Texas. And by the way, 2 nights ago on live television, state troopers drug out a Democratic female legislator out of the bathroom. Out of the bathroom because she did not have a pass to go. And I hear about how unfair California is. Can you imagine if the Democratic majority said to the California Highway Patrol, follow Republican leaders in the Assembly and the Senate? Yet today, nothing about that. Nothing. Fake outrage about what California is doing. You know, we've seen this story play out in history. And hypocrisy today won't save your hide tomorrow when the secret police and the Mar-a-Lago goons find a reason to come after you. We are in a flashpoint in history if we do not stand up, if we do not shout out. This has to stop. I've always supported independent redistricting. I've supported independent redistricting on the local level here in California. I support national redistricting. Sounds like now that it may be a bipartisan bill. What I do not support, what we cannot support in California is unilateral disarmament when the fairness of the 2026 elections is being threatened. And yes, Donald Trump wants to rig the damn election. Other states want to play games. California is the only state committed to fairness whose potential redistricting goes away the minute others drop theirs. In Texas, it's permanent. One of our colleagues in the assembly said the other day, when I go to a restaurant, I don't have to meet the chef. You all saw that? Senators, I also don't believe we need to meet the chef, but we do need to meet this moment. And the stakes are so high. And I want to end it right here. Here's what's at stake. Millions of Californians are going to lose their health care next year. Millions. Tens of millions of Americans are going to lose their health care next year because of Donald Trump. I've never seen a president come after fire aid and assistance like this president has, threatening to be able to cancel cleanup and recovery because he doesn't like our governor, doesn't like the politics of the state. I never thought I had to explain to my 4.5-year-old who saw on a friend's television why someone was being thrown in a moving van. This is what we're fighting for today. One of the main reasons I believe that we should be voting for this constitutional amendment will be waiting for me this evening at our kitchen table to tell me about his first week in school. As much as some want to say this is about politics, this vote today is about people. It's about standing strong for people who are under assault by an authoritarian who's coming for our jugular. All we have now, the only choice is to fight. This is a cynical ploy, and it's just the start. First, they come for the districts. Then they come for your ballots. Next, it will be your family. Today's vote is about the future. It's about fairness. It's about trusting voters. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote, and I yield my time to Senator Cabalden.
Senator Cabalden, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill, this package of bills has been among the three most heavily reported bills in California and in the country. The notion
Cabalden,
that...
can you address the presiding officer, please?
Oh, for a point?
Can you address the presiding officer, please?
Oh, I usually stand there. Okay. All right, thank you, Madam President. This package of bills has been among the most heavily reported. It's widely known across the state of California that this effort is underway, which is odd because when I talk to my own constituents and I mention the word redistricting, a glazed look goes over their eye. Very few Californians spend their time or their worries or their concerns or their hopes thinking about redistricting. They are thinking about food on the table and rent and public safety and their ability to walk free on the streets of this state. But I hear about it constantly in my own district. And I hear about it in places that you might not expect. And it reminds me of one of my favorite parts of the year, and I know I share this with many of my colleagues from both parties, Little League opening day. The parade goes down the neighborhood on Meadow Road, turns the corner. We all end up at Memorial Park for the first day of the Little League season. And once the ceremony is over, the certificates have been presented, then the teams go onto the field. And you sit, for me as a mayor and now as a senator, you sit with the parents ready to watch the game. And the first inning comes up and the other team keeps striking out. And the second inning, they've struck out every time. When they pitch, sometimes they intentionally hit our players and you're starting to get a little worried. By the fifth inning, though, something weird happens. You see that on their side of on the other team's players, the first base is now being taken over by one of the dads. One of the moms is subbed in at second base. Another mom's at shortstop. Another dad is at third base and another at catcher. And you look at the field, you say, this is not fair. This is Little League. Where are the kids at? You can't just sub in 5 adults to play a Little League game. That's not fair. It's also it's not safe. What you've created is a Little League I've never be a part of. We don't sit in the stands in that moment and argue with each other. You know what I'm going to do about this? I'm going to go to the next Little League board meeting in 2 months to complain, because what we really need is a policy that prevents this from happening. You don't pen a harshly worded letter to the other team. You stand up. You do something. In that moment, most likely, what most Americans would do, we're sending 5 of our parents out there. We're pulling our kids off the field. We are taking action to assure that that cheating, that endangerment, does not happen. If, when the Olympics are at the Rose Bowl here in California, the Rose Bowl in California, and the soccer team come on the field and we're playing against Russia, and they sub in 5 people, 5 additional players onto their team, you can be damn right we'll be calling for our team to be doing the same. We won't be waiting to file a complaint after the game is over that we lost because someone cheated right in front of our eyes, right in broad daylight. That's why Californians every day, more and more Californians are like, I don't know that much about redistricting, but this ain't right. This cannot happen, and California cannot stand for it. That's what this is all about. And so what's different here is it's not a trophy that's on the line. What is on the line is everything that we've heard described by the pro tem and others on this floor. The HR 1 cuts, the massive cuts that will hit California, but many of them that won't take place until after the congressional election. So we have a shot to stop them from happening. What's on the line is our freedom on the street and the terrorism that's happening with ICE, the attacks on UCLA, on our very elections, on reproductive freedom. Across the board, we have a chance to do something about it. Because right now, everyone at the Little League game is always asking me, what can I do as an American? What can I do to prevent the erasure of our democracy, the decline of our institutions and our protections? Now, and so we have to both fix the rules. We do have to go to that Little League meeting, and that's exactly what AC 8 does. Its first provision is California calls upon the Congress of the United States to place a constitutional amendment before all of the states for a national independent redistricting system. That is number 1 in ACA 8. And so we are doing that. And we must also get on the field and protect our kids and our families and our communities. Now, it's ironic because we stand here today 99 years after the very first redistricting initiative went on the ballot here in California. Redistricting is one of the most contested ballot initiatives over and over and over again that Californians typically face. And we've been doing it now for nearly for a century. And that ballot measure, which created an independent citizens commission to redistricting, was rejected almost 2-1. When it was proposed again a decade and a half later, it was rejected by 10 points. It was rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected. In the 1980s, it was rejected 4 times. 4 times. In the 2000s, it was rejected right before it barely passed. And so when we talk about the voters have enshrined this in the Constitution as something that can never change, the voters have been changing their minds about redistricting almost since the admission of this state into the Union. And in fact, in 2008, when the voters passed the initiative that the senator from Fair Oaks noted, there were 2 other ballot measures on that 2008 ballot that are noteworthy here. One was the voters' overwhelming support for high-speed rail, which we've heard previously on this floor, senators from the other side of the aisle, Republican senators saying we should toss that out. We should throw that one out. But this one that passed by less is somehow divinely inspired and can never be changed by the voters themselves. The second measure that was on that ballot was Proposition 8, the infamous Proposition 8, which said that we were amending the Constitution to prevent folks from marrying the person that they loved, marriage equality. That's what happened in 2008, by a larger margin than this commission. And yet, last year, the voters of California overwhelmingly reversed that decision. Democracy is an ever-changing progress. It's a book that we are writing together. And the only ones that can tell us to respect the will of the voters are the voters. And the only way we can know what their will is in this critical time for the preservation of our democracy is by passing this Constitution to let the voters